Yep, thank you. Um, Thanks for joining our session, guys, today, and it takes me time to take control of the screen. We're going to talk about basically cloud hosting options for your ERP system, and there's several reasons why many clients, why many companies would need to move to look at cloud options, and some of those can just be, cost related, growth related. And we just want to talk briefly about the reasons why you would think about moving to the cloud, and then we'll get into what some of the options are. And today I'm going to focus primarily around ERP solutions and talk to you about which options probably would be best if you're dealing with ERP. So here's some of the top key reasons. You have corporate growth, and you may or may not be able to keep up with your people. You might not be able to find cost-effective people and/or have time to train people up. It also will allow your core team to focus on strategic initiatives, basically allowing more of the tactical side of running an IT shop to a cloud provider. So another reason, scalability of the technical infrastructure. If you're buying new companies or your sales happen to take a huge growth hit, which is all good things, but comes with its own set of challenges, you may need to be able to scale. And of course, cloud providers, most of their system designs are there just for that, to be able to add servers, add disk space, add availability, add data centers quickly. And this is one way to do it via the cloud. Big question about security comes up, and I'd say 10 years ago, that was the biggest question I hear is, oh, it's not secure, it's a shared environment, it's easy to hack into. But I'd like to contest that with cloud providers are faced constantly with nation attacks, and they have security folks, intrusion detection experts, and I'm going to talk a little more about that later in the webcast when I talk about some of the providers and what their capabilities are. Uptime. Many systems, I know 15, 20 years ago, DR might have been a secondary nature to the operating of your system, but most cloud solutions are designed, they're highly available just by design. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure has triple redundancy on every disk drive that they have, so there's high availability is built into their cost equation. They already know that, so ensuring maximum uptime, it's part of the design up front. So there's other things that you have to think about is, certain data center features, and, whether you need raised floors, what kind of electricity you need, fire protection, what support options are available to you. So you run important aspects of your business solution, and many of the things we just talked about are important. We just mentioned the security, stability, scalability, support options, etc. They're all important, but so is cost. If you're starting a new business, the cloud can be very attractive. If you're looking at millions of dollars to set up a new data center with heating and cooling units, fire suppression, raised floors, multiple power sources, maybe you need a generator, it can all get very expensive, and it may be much simpler and quicker and cost justifiable to go with a cloud solution. Okay, this slide's out of sequence. Let me get back to it in just a second. Okay, in choosing cloud choices, you have three high-level options that you need to think about first in how you're going to do it. You either go with a managed cloud provider, go with a pure cloud solution, or go with co-location. And years ago, co-location was probably the most common because companies still had a lot of IT staff, and they wanted to preserve the jobs, and just physically picking up your equipment and putting it into a data center was a good solution 15 years ago, because then you didn't have to provide the you didn't have to provide the power. So let's talk about these one at a time. A managed cloud provider, basically they may or may not provide you with the physical architecture, but usually they do. And some of the most common uses for managed cloud providers is for, like e-businesses, that you're setting up a complex high rate of change website, as well as web-based applications or in-house commercially developed applications. Also, if you have like an ERP system such as JD Edwards or Oracle eBusiness, PeopleSoft, and SAP, also a good solution. Also, hosting applications where the location is sensitive. For instance, there are many European data requirements, financial requirements require the data center to physically be in the European community, and that can be a problem for some global providers. So these managed cloud providers are basically they're good for niche type software packages, ERP in particular, where you need expertise in monitoring the systems and setting setting up the system. Then there's also some pure cloud providers that you can choose from. You could go with the Amazon Web Services, also known as AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Oracle Cloud, amongst others. If you're running a SQL Server application, Microsoft's Azure is a really good place to get to move your data. There's special licensing that goes along with it. They can provide you assistance at the DBAS PaaS layer. Oracle Cloud, fantastic solution if you have an Oracle database running on an Oracle ERP product like eBusiness or JDE, because they have special DBAS services there as well. So pure cloud, usually low cost of entry because they're providing commodity-based hardware. But along with the low cost can come low services. Those services have to be consumed elsewhere, either on a specialty managed services provider like GSI, or maybe you have the talent in-house. And that's the same thing with co-location. You own the hardware, but you're consuming the rack space in an established data center. Basically, the co-location cloud is providing you with physical security and power, and you're even going to have to negotiate the connection to the outside world, but which they'll provide you a DMARC location for that. So let me go back up to that slide that I missed, because it was supposed to be now. This is kind of an extension of the various, the three general categories are managed cloud providers, pure cloud providers, and then co-location providers. And so this is kind of an extension of that. Public cloud basically is multi-tenant, and you pay as you grow. And you can see there's some good features and positive features that we've done in our summary description here. Private cloud is an option. If you set your ERP system up in all of the above three options that we talked about, you can still have a private cloud dedicated to just you. It might be a multi-tenant environment where other companies are using the equipment, but they're going to segment your network from everybody else. You're effectively running your own private cloud. There's some positives and negatives to it. Dedicated servers, like even companies like Oracle Cloud, they allow you to have bare metal systems for if multi-tenancy doesn't work for you, and there's some positives and negatives to that. Hybrid cloud is a common term that you're hearing right now. There are folks that think that that the cloud is the wave of the future, that everybody's going to move to the cloud. So let's say everybody did that today. Every company on the planet says, you're right, we're moving to the cloud, let's do it. Time out. There isn't enough capacity in the cloud to handle all that, even if what I just said were true. There's a lot of roadblocks to that. There's also legislation that I think you're going to see coming up that may affect that. Right now, if you go to the cloud, or if you remain on premise, you've got to depreciate all of your equipment. But if you go to the cloud, you get to basically turn the capital expenditure into an OpEx. Well, the government may be losing some funds that way. I think, you might see some excise taxes or some kind of cloud taxation in the near future to account for the fact that companies are getting a pretty good deal by going to the cloud in many, many cases. So a hybrid basically means that you consume some cloud services and you remain some services on-prem. For example, it might be a really good idea for you to put your JD Edwards application into the cloud, but let's say you still have all of your remaining staff. You have Exchange servers on premise, you have Active Directory servers, you have file store servers, you have print servers, you have barcode servers, etc. It might be a wise idea to keep those on premise. And that is called hybrid, where you have a combination of cloud services and things that you're doing yourself. And multi-cloud is a term that also should be considered. Multi-cloud means you not only have some on-premise, but you have multiple cloud providers. Maybe you have Oracle Cloud for your JD Edwards system, but you have Microsoft Azure for a Dynamics instance for one of your divisions. That would be considered multi-cloud, and there's positives and negatives to it. You notice that in the hybrid cloud and the multi-cloud has, basically checks off every box that we have there in terms of scalability, cost, flexibility, etc. Multi-cloud adds some advantages in redundancy and backups. You could do an online backup from one cloud provider to another that you might not be able to do so readily if you just had a single cloud. Okay, I got to skip ahead a few. We talked about those. So some examples of some physical data centers, and we've done a comparison of a few private cloud, or managed care providers and some physical, pure cloud providers. So Secure24 and PCM are managed service providers. Oracle Cloud, AWS, and Azure are pure cloud providers. So I didn't really include co-location because you can do co-location with PCM. Secure24 doesn't do co-location, but there are literally hundreds of co-location companies across the country. Many of them mom and pop, but mom and pop still have value, and if you choose the right one, you're probably perfectly safe. Secure24 and PCM are two that GSI has spent spent a lot of time working with. Secure24 has data centers in Las Vegas and Plymouth, Michigan. PCM has data centers in Roswell, Georgia, and Los Angeles. Oracle Cloud is in Amazon and Azure. They're all global, and they have various different tiers to them. In trying to decide where you should put your data center and which one, whether you should go with a managed care solution or not, you need to look at the pros and cons of what you need. Like you can see, if you want to co-locate here, you just simply cannot do that at Secure24 or some of these other solutions easily. But you could at PCM and in some cases the Oracle Cloud. And I put this Oracle hardware option as an option here because some providers, such as Oracle, have specialty gear designed just to run Oracle applications. And just as Azure has gear specifically suited for SQL Server. So you have to kind of think about what it is you're looking to do and whether some of the underlying core architecture could be of value to you. For some reason, GSI, as Travis mentioned at the top of the hour, is a JD Edwards specialty company. We have found that JD Edwards running on Oracle database on Oracle hardware just runs faster. Could be that it's tuned better, but if you're a large company looking for the best possible performance as you can, you really need to give special consideration for that. You need to look at the LAN WAN options. How are you able to do it? What's your high availability? And you also need to look at certifications if they mean something to you. If you're a small private company, these certifications may not mean something to you. PCI might be if you accept credit cards. And the one thing I found when I was doing my search of certifications is that Microsoft publishes the most amount of data and make it readily available to you what it is that they do. Very, very good. Now, that's not saying that the others aren't, but I just found that they had a very thorough document to go over that. So also in looking over your locations, you also need to consider your infrastructure support options. You can get support from Oracle, Amazon, and Azure, but that, they're primarily commodity providers of architecture. They do offer that, but it's options that you're going to have to search for. Secure24 PCM, that's their job, providing you with ITIL-based support. ITIL is, many of the resources at GSI are ITIL certified as well. We use ServiceNow for our ticket tracking system. We have a CMDB. The value in having ITIL practices is in structure and organization, to know that the people that you're working with follow rules for resolving your problems, and that they will use every means available to them. A couple of things. You can look at this list down the road, but in looking at like RPO and RTO, they can become very important to you. And I did a webcast on RTO, RPO a couple weeks ago. If you want to get into what they mean and how they play out, it has to deal with how much data you can afford to lose if in a disaster, and how long it is you can afford to be without an outage. The cloud providers do offer it, but it's something you're going to have to negotiate separate from that. And if you're managing your system yourself, the RPO and RTO might not make sense for you to pay for it. Managed services monitoring can also be a challenge. Oracle Cloud does have some monitoring available to you, but is it set up for your ERP application? Maybe not. But the managed care providers, they do provide monitoring that is application specific, not just whether the power is on and whether or not you have enough disk space. So keep in mind, you can look over this list when you have an opportunity. So in addition to support, you have to look at scope, and when you negotiate your cloud contract, and again, review our webcast from a couple of weeks ago, we talk about contract negotiation. You have to determine who's going to size the system for you. Do you know how to do it yourself? Are you just going to take what you have and move it to the cloud, or should you look to take advantage of some economies of scale? So you need to see who can do the system sizing, who's going to do the pricing, who holds the contract, who does the provisioning of the new machines. PCM and Secure24, they both offer provisioning as a part of the deal. Oracle, Amazon, and Azure, that's not readily available. You're going to have to contract with somebody to do that for you. It could be them, but generally speaking, you go with a third-party company. Who does the monitoring? Who installs the equipment? That's the other thing. It's like, once the equipment is there and it's provisioned, who's going to get your stuff up and running? Is it on you? Is it on the hosting company? Is it on some other party? And then who's going to do the monitoring, which we already discussed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few of the companies that we've worked with. We've worked with PCM. They're a managed care provider. So they're a data center. They're a large company, used to be known as PC Mall. They have 3,800 employees across the country, across the world, and they're growing. And here's just a roadmap of what they look like, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. The one thing that PCM does that the other providers that I had listed don't do is that they support IBM technology. So if you're an iSeries person running a Power 7, Power 8 on iSeries, that is available to you via LPAR provisioning at PCM, and they have dozens of those. There aren't very many iSeries specialty providers, but I thought, since GSI does work with a lot of IBM clients, I wanted to put this in there. There are a few others. IBM themselves will do it. There are a few in Europe that we know of as well. One of the things that PCM, they are complementary to GSI solutions. They're ITIL based service delivery, and they indeed did that for did our ServiceNow implementation. And basically the way we work with them is, you know, we have clients that utilize our team and our application monitoring, PCM's Operations Center and cloud. And basically it allows you a complete enterprise solution that might not be available from any one partner. So this was a specialty seamless communication. So another partner of ours is Secure24. We've been partners with PCM for 4 years now and have probably have a half a dozen clients. GSI has been partnered with Secure24 for 10 years now, and we have a dozen clients, and they've been around since the early 2000s. Very good company to work for, culture on the walls here, and you can see on where they're at. They have the flags of all of the college alma maters for all their people in there. They didn't have an Ohio State one when I was there, and that's where I went, so it was a little bit disappointing, but they said they'd add one for it. Good company to work for, good company to work with, and that's the point. They do managed care as well. They have many of the certifications that we were talking about, ITIL, Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, et cetera, CFR 21 CFR Part 11 for FDA requirements. Most of the other providers do that as well. They provide help with multiple applications. They're the largest Hyperion value-added client company in the entire United States. They just got acquired by NTT, very big company. Here's where their data centers are in Michigan and Las Vegas. There's the next slide is really interesting and something that is very useful if you're trying to think of a cloud, a location to put your data center, and that is where, when you're trying to find a facility for a data center, where would you want to put it? Well, you'd want to put it where no natural disasters are going to occur, or where least likely to have, be affected by political influences. For instance, putting a data center in, Afghanistan might not be the best place to do right now because of all of the turmoil, but this one looks at ideal locations in the United States from a natural disaster standpoint. And I like this map because you can see that there's a couple of areas, Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. They're not subject to very many disasters. We do have tornadoes. I live in Ohio. We do have tornadoes, but it's rare. One every 10 years maybe comes this way. But in terms of picking a location where it might not be good here, you look in, what's the state? I think that's Iowa right here next to Illinois, and they have flooding, they have tornadoes, and it might not be the best location. There's a couple things. It probably would be okay, but things to consider. Earthquakes all throughout the western United States. The PCM has a data center in Columbus, Ohio area, and Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, not too bad. A little bit of flooding occurs there. So I love this map. Something you can study to see if that is of concern to you. So again, Secure24, they specialize in cloud transformations, picking up your setup and moving it to the cloud. That's the other thing that when you're looking for a cloud provider, you should look at. It's like, who's the scope of responsibility? My webcast from 2 weeks ago discusses that you need to negotiate that in your contract. Who's responsible for getting your data there? And Secure24 and PCM both provide those services as a part of signing up for what they have. So, whoops, I thought I had more slides in that. Somehow I hit the end button, folks. Give me just a second here to get back to where we were at. There we go. We talked about transformation services at Secure 24. In moving to the cloud, make sure you see a project plan. Ask your provider to give you a plan. It's like, okay, we're going to move to you. What's ask them, what is the traditional time it takes to migrate from where we're at to on-premise or to cloud? Generally speaking, you're going to hear 4 to 8 weeks. And that's what we found. Even our largest client only took 6 weeks to migrate everything that they had on one cloud provider to another. It took a little bit of planning, but setting the plan aside, once we started to execute, it was 6 weeks. So you can't say that it can't be done. It can. So all of just a little bit of summary and recommendations. I'm going to talk a little bit about GSI. All options offer strong offerings for straight infrastructure as a service offerings. Secure 24 and PCM offer fully consumable cloud features to complement the IS offerings, and that's basically the managed care. And my opinion is that if you're looking to go to the cloud with your solution, I would give a lot of preferential treatment towards a managed care provider, such as PCM and Secure 24, because the managed care, the intrusion detection. Secure 24 has 60 full-time people devoted towards intrusion detection. I talked to the president of Secure 24 a month ago. He said, John, we have nation attacks coming in from North Korea that we fend off and protect our clients. They have, I think the state of Washington is one of their clients. They have large government entities that are hosting with them. And they're very good at it. Oracle, also very good with intrusion detection and has specialty software. They all do, and cloud can be safe as long as you watch what options are there and watch how you open things up. Oracle Cloud, Amazon, Azure, they're inexpensive. They are definitely going to be lower cost. Generally speaking, to get a managed provided services, you're going to pay 30 to 40% more money. What you get for that 30 to 40% is very well could be worth it to you if you don't have the in-house resources and if you only want to have a single provider. If you don't care about having multiple providers and or you have your own resources to handle it, then a pure cloud provider like Microsoft might be fantastic. A lot of our clients, we're JD Edwards experts. We go to them and they'll say, oh yeah, I just set up a server in Azure. It was really quick and easy. I didn't have to go through my IT department and I got a specialty application in 24 hours. That's the benefit of it. You can render these machines very quickly. So PCM slightly lower for full feature cloud and hosting services. RPO, RTO is also pretty good there. GSI also is an Oracle public cloud partner. We are a managed service provider for them, and basically it's Oracle is new to the cloud. They've been in it for about 2 years now. They have what they call their Classic, and then they have their Gen 2. Formerly known as bare metal solutions. I'm not as big of a fan of the Classic as I am Gen 2, just seems to be more stable. But Oracle, in addition to the IaaS, they do offer PaaS solutions, and then they do have some SaaS offerings. But SaaS, generally speaking, isn't something where you're going to consume cloud. You'll probably be consuming the SaaS application. But at the PaaS layer, they offer Java as a service and they offer database as a service. If you're looking for a high-end Oracle database but don't have the money to go out and spend several $1 million on Exadata, maybe getting Exadata in the cloud might be an affordable solution for you at the PaaS layer. So we're going to go a little fast through Oracle's strategy with the Elastic Compute. They support VMware and KVM workloads using Revelo. Revelo is a really good solution for migrating VMs to the cloud. your existing VMs if that's feasible. One thing you're going to find out is that if you move from a cloud provider, from one cloud provider to another, managed cloud provider, they're probably not going to let you have the VMs. The reason why is that they put their own proprietary code on it, their own monitoring. And they're going to tell you, you can have your data, but you can't have the VMs. And that's common. Just keep that in mind. If you're going from cloud A to cloud B, be prepared to move, to stand up the application separately from everything and then migrate the data. They'll help you set up data replication, that because the data is yours, but they'll tell you that they own the VM image. So another thing, GSI is also a provider. We're an MSP of all of the above options, and we provide a layer at any layer. Basically, we can do the provisioning for you. If you go to like Oracle Cloud or Amazon Web Services, we can provision the machines. We can take care of the infrastructure support and maintenance. We do DR and HA. We have our a state-of-the-art monitoring solution that we call Genius, and it is ERP aware. So it's not just watching. It's not just watching whether or not the system is turned on, but we've got database specific monitors to see to it that the database is healthy. We also have application specific things. Good example. Let's assume you're using Oracle's e-business and it's got a scheduler. And let's say that scheduler goes down at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you find out when you come in the next day, it didn't. None of the traditional monitors would fail because the servers may all be up and running. But our application-specific monitor would probe that scheduler and would check it every 15 minutes. And if it's down, the worst case that would have happened in our case is by 1:15, we would have alerted somebody to check the scheduler. In some cases, our code is got artificial intelligence in it. It can tell. It could try to restart the instance, try to do some troubleshooting, and if it can't, then it'll alert and get a human body on it. The other thing most monitoring packages don't do is provide you with most awesome analytics. Some do. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're using JD Edwards for your ERP system, and you try to sign on to the system. Okay, it takes you 20 seconds today. Okay, let's say in looking back, a month ago it was only taking 15 seconds, and 2 months ago it was taking 10 seconds, and 6 months ago it was maybe taking 5 seconds. You may not get any alerting because your alerts might be within the proper thresholds, but if you look at the reports and the trending, you can see that there is a problem occurring. And that's something you want to, that's something our Genius product does, is it looks at the analytics, has some artificial intelligence, and we're growing our artificial intelligence every day to try to improve system availability and uptime, get those 3 nines as high as possible. We also have our Genesis tool, which is a stress testing, load testing, regression testing tool designed not only to complement the Genius monitoring, but also determine what your scalability is. How, are you going to buy a new business unit? Can your existing architecture handle it? Well, this Genesis will model that. Also, maybe you need to track software changes and performance. Maybe you're going to implement a new application security model. So you could use Genesis to model the before effects and after effects and see if performance struggles, or if you bring up a business unit, whether or not you can take it on. So our ERP cloud, it's service-aware monitoring, looking at all of the different events, looking at the relational databases, etc. We also provide monthly performance reports of the systems we watch. What does your uptime look like? What are some of your key server positives and negatives? How are user sign-ins to ERP applications? Are they taking too long, etc.? So we also have our two-factor authentication to help get in. Not all ERP systems have this authentication built in. Some ERPs have portals in front of them that handle some of this for you, but we've built a two-factor authentication tool if you don't have one yourself. So with that, Travis, I'm going to turn it back over to you for question and answers.
Perfect. Give me 1 second here. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So there's a few things that I'd like to cover before we get into the Q&A portion of the broadcast. However, if you do have questions, you can go ahead and start to get those submitted right now while I'm covering these other details. So to start off with, our webcast day is part of GSI's free ongoing educational webcast series. So our upcoming webcasts are listed below on the screen, and the subject matter, and then the dates associated with it. And you can register for any one of these at getgsi.com/webcast. Also, if you're looking for other great, JDE or cloud educational resources, you can go to our online resource center at our website at getgsi.com, and then create an account. And then what you'll get access to is all of our recorded webcasts, our online workshops, specifically relating to 9.2, and then also getting access to presentations, as well as informational white papers. Also, to quickly go over this here is the one thing that we can offer as an organization is our mini cloud value assessment. And to give you a brief overview on this, GSI has cloud expertise, and we can help you, on your journey to the cloud. We're an experienced partner and have a special offer for our mini cloud value assessment. It's a smaller version of our cloud value assessment, so that you get a feel for what GSI is able to offer you for your cloud projects. The way it works is it's a short-term project that starts with a half-day discovery session, and you'll be involved with a GSI cloud expert, and they will discuss moving a single business application from your on-premise environment to the cloud. And of course, throughout this process, we'll want to understand the business factors that are driving this process, and then we'll also dig in the details of your application and all of its dependencies, so we can best advise you on your pathway to the cloud. And then, after this discovery session, our cloud experts will take the notes and documentation collected during the session and then create a deliverable document detailing our findings from the session and recommendations, and then the next steps for moving forward. So, and then lastly, of course, we will take all of this information and then present the deliverable documents through a cloud roadmap session with the key decision makers and stakeholders within the organization itself. So if you do have any questions about this, this is something that we can certainly provide more details on and give you more specifics. So this brings me to the Q&A portion of the broadcast. And for those of you that do have questions, we'll go ahead and get those submitted. I don't see any questions as of right now, John.
All right. So
I can start the process of getting this wrapped up.
I would. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So as a follow-up from today's webcast, we ask that you complete a 1-minute survey, and then in return, you'll receive a follow-up email, and it'll give you the webcast schedule, and then you'll also receive a link to access both the recording and today's presentation. And to incentivize you to do this, you'll also be in the drawing for a $25 Amazon gift card. So please do fill out this survey. It's very critical and crucial to us on how we position our webcasts and the content in which we deliver within these. So your feedback is greatly appreciated. And for those of you that do have follow-up questions, if there's anything that we did not cover today, or there's something that should come about, maybe that you think of afterwards, or if you have questions on any one of our products or services, please feel free to reach out to either John or myself. You can call us directly, or of course email, and we will be more than happy to assist you. So with that, John, thank you very much today. It's a great presentation, very informative. And to our audience members, thank you for attending. And have a great rest of the week, everybody. And we look forward to seeing you here next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.